It's usually at 9 o'clock, guys. If you're new here, today's 11, but I did put out a notice that it was going to be at 11. But today we're going to look at something that is kind of thought-provoking, very, where do I stand? Where have I fallen? Okay, we're going to turn to Psalm 78. Listen, Psalm 78 is so, I love this psalm. Today's the first time I've really just read it through and listened to everything, but Psalm 78 tells just about the whole story of Israel, in a way, escaping Egypt. It tells all the things that was done for them while they were out there. When they were murmuring and complaining about not having water, God had Moses smote the rock and water gushed out, and they had plenty water. Then they were murmuring, complaining about being hungry, so he had manna come from heaven. Manna is like a bread-like substance, bread, if you will, bread from heaven. And then they were still kind of complaining. So then it tells us here in verse 26, he caused an east wind to blow in the heaven, and by his power he brought in the south wind. He rained flesh upon them as dust, and feathered fowl like as the sand of the sea. And he let it fall in the midst of their camp round about their habitations. So they did eat and were well filled, for he gave them their own desire. But, I told you just yesterday we were talking about, these churches that preach the prosperity gospel and preach God's love, God's love, God's love. Well, guys, God is a God of love, but he also is a God of chastisement. He's a God of reproof. And it says, we're gonna read, this is not part of our devotion. I mean, it is, but I'll tell you when we get to the main part. They were not estranged from their lust, but while their meat was yet in their mouths, listen, the wrath of God came upon them, and slew the fattest of them, and smote down the chosen men of Israel. For all this they sinned still, and believed not his wondrous works. He's talking about all the water and the manna from heaven and all that. Therefore their days did he consume in vanity, in their years in trouble. A short trip. They started out on a short trip that wound up being 40 years. Okay, keep that in mind. When he slew them, then they sought him, and they returned and inquired early after their God. And they remembered that God was their rock, and the high God their Redeemer. Now listen, guys, let's go on. Nevertheless, they did flatter him with their mouths, and they lied unto him with their tongues. Flatter him is just, when you try to flatter people, you're just trying to appease them. You're just trying to kind of get by because you really didn't do all the things you should have or whatever. For their heart was not right with him, neither were they steadfast in his covenant. In other words, they didn't keep the promises or whatever that they made to him. They didn't keep them. They did their own thing. They went their own way. If they vowed to pray 3 times a day, well, some days they might pray 1, some days they might pray 2, and every now and then they'll pray 3. Or like in our day, we vowed to tithe. Well, we might miss a paycheck or 2. Then we might miss 3 in a row. Or you vowed to anything. I don't know, vowed to God, say, God, I'm going to get up every morning and I'm going to start reading my Bible and start praying every morning. That's how I'm starting my morning. Then a little later on as you go, then, I missed this morning, or I missed that morning, or I missed this morning. I ain't saying that you don't go back and make it up if you do. But sometimes we don't, guys. We just, oh, I forgot to read my Bible yesterday. Oh, I didn't pray yesterday. Let's keep reading because this is where it's coming in. But he, God, being full of compassion, forgave their iniquity and destroyed them not. Yea, many a time turned he his anger away and did not stir up his wrath. That's our God. That's how mighty he is, and that's how compassionate he is toward us, his children that he loves. For he remembered that they were but flesh. You know, I talk about that all the time, how our flesh is weak. A wind that passes away and cometh not again. How oft did they provoke him in the wilderness and grieve him in the desert? How often do we do, guys? How often do we provoke him? Listen to this. This is our verse, our devotion verse. Yea, they turned back and tempted God and limited the Holy One of Israel. Guys, I just think the Lord wants us to see this morning that sometimes when we turn back from our vows, when we turn back from what God's instructed us to do, when we kind of get slack, you know, we've talked about that. That's a turning back. And it says when we do that, that we tempt God, his anger and his wrath against us, and limit the Holy One of Israel. These guys had to stay in the wilderness for 40 years when it shouldn't have took them but just a little while to travel the distance that they had to travel. But it says here, for all this they sinned still, and believed not his wondrous works. Therefore their days did he consume in vanity, and their years in trouble. Guys, do we bring some of what we get on ourselves because we have turned back? Because we have turned back on God. I'm going to read it till I'm not here anymore, Miss Junebug, and if you don't want to watch it, you don't have to, okay? Plain and simple. Thank you, Christy. How many times, if you just look at a day, just a day, how many times do you think you grieve God in a day? When you have a thought you shouldn't, or when you stump your toe and you maybe say a little something. How many times do we grieve him? Are we limiting what he would do for us by our turning back? Just in those little guys, it don't have to be in some big and mighty way like the children of Israel were. It can be in simple ways. How many times do we grieve God because we've turned back on a vow that we've made to him, or we've let other things take more importance? And guys, I'm not saying, listen, please don't think that I'm saying that if you slip once or twice, that's not, turning back is when you literally almost like turn your back on him. Let me tell you just a little secret. The whole armor of God, if you'll go read about the whole armor of God, is to protect our front. When we turn back, there's nothing protecting our back. All the whole armor of God, from the helmet to the shield of righteousness, our loins girt with truth, there's nothing to protect our back, because God never intended for us to turn our back. And it's during those times when we turn our back, whether it be by just life getting in the way and we're not as vigilant as we should be, we're not protected and trouble comes. And a lot of times it's because we have turned our back. And then we want to say, well, my God, why are you doing this? Why did you allow that? Never one time's taken a minute to look at how we grieved God. So today, I'm not gonna belittle this or keep on. I think today God just wants us to be more vigilant about our walk with Him. And remember, we're only covered from the front. We need to face this battle, and we are in a spiritual battle, guys. Make no mistake about that. We are in a spiritual battle daily. Daily, we have to face that old devil and rise above. And we can do that by being clothed in that whole armor of God, the whole armor. But that's from the front. We've got to face him head on. We can't turn and run. Listen, love all this. You know, Uriah was a man of war. And you know what David did with Bathsheba? Well, he called Uriah from the army. This was after he'd slept with her, and I guess she was with child. He called Uriah from the battle, and he said, "Hey, take some time off, go down and spend some time with your wife." And Uriah said, "No, I cannot do that while my soldiers, my people, my men, the people that depend on me, are still in the battle line." He said, "I can't do that. I got to go back and fight." So David sent a letter with him, and he gave it he didn't read it now because it wasn't for him. I'm telling you, Uriah was a man of honor and a man of integrity, and he showed it in the way he wanted to face battle with his men, and the fact that he didn't read that letter that David sent with him to the man that was in charge of the battle. But he gave it to him, and he said, "Hey, send the men into the biggest battle you have, the strongest battle you have. And when things are really getting hot, have all the men turn back except Uriah." Guys, the men turned back, and what happened? Uriah got killed, which is what David intended in the first place. But it's because his men turned back. They were no longer a force driving forward. When we turn back, guys, things happen. Bad things happen. We can't always say, "Well, God, why'd you allow this?" or "God, why'd you do this?" We have to look at our responsibility as God's child. He has instructed us to go full force into this spiritual battle that we're facing. He's give us the armor to wear. He's give us the stuff to fight with. And then when we turn back, that's on us. The children of Israel, after seeing everything that he had done for them to get them out of Egypt, all those 10 plagues, then they finally get out of Egypt, and all they do is murmur and complain and murmur and complain. It caused a short journey to become a 40-year journey. It caused some of them to lose their life. It caused all of the original ones to not go into the promised land. Guys, our walk with the Lord and our responsibility as God's child is important. Important. And he does not expect us to turn back. But he sent me here today just because of this turn back thing. And they turned back again. It says it again back over here in 57. But turn back and dealt unfaithfully like their fathers. They were turned aside like a deceitful bow. When we turn back, when we slip in our walk, and sometimes it's a slip, and sometimes, guys, it's a thought out plan. Well, I'm fixing to have some time for just Debbie. I can't help what God wants me to do or what I've told him I will do. I got to have some time for just Debbie. Guys, we don't have that right as God's children. He will give you rest when you need it in ways of making you sick sometime. I've been there. But we can't turn our back on this spiritual battle that we're fighting, because we're not fighting it like I talked about yesterday. We're not fighting it just for us. We're fighting it for the Moes and the Wilders and the Brodies and the Tylers of this world, the Bo and Blue and Dusties of this world. We're fighting it so that the younger generation can have some kind of foundation to stand on. Man, we've got a big responsibility as God's children. Well, thank you, Karen. I'm so glad you're here. Y'all welcome, Karen. We do this usually every morning, Karen, at 9 o'clock, Monday through Saturday, and at 5 o'clock on Sunday afternoon. Yeah. Uh-oh. Okay, Miss Helen, we will. But guys, this morning, I'm going to go ahead and end it, and our thought's going to be, have I turned back? Examine yourself. Have you turned back? Because it's so easy to do. The devil makes it easy. The devil makes it seem like it's what you're supposed to be doing. He will deceive you guys. We fight a spiritual battle every day, and that devil is out to deceive us and to win. And we can't let him. We're not letting him have the victory. Period. Okay? So let's go and pray. Dear Lord, we come to you this morning and we thank you for this reminder, Lord, that we can't turn back on this battle, that we can't let down our guard even for a minute, because we're not guarding just for us. We're guarding for our loved ones. We're guarding for the ones that watch us. We're guarding for the new generation that's coming up. Lord, help us each day to move forward, to put on that breastplate that protects the front of our body and move forward in this war, in this fight against spiritual warfare. It says we wrestle not with flesh and blood, but with principalities and powers. Lord, help us to just be prepared. Help us to not lose the want to fight, the desire to learn more of you and to put more of you out into the world. Lord, help us, Lord, to not be ashamed to stand up for what the Bible teaches is right. There is so much, Lord, of stuff going around in this world that is just so leading people astray. But they're doing it in your name, Lord. They're looking all holy and have all these people just glorifying the person and not you, Lord. Help us to not be ashamed to take a stand. Help us, Lord, to know that we're in a fight. We're in a fight daily for not only ourselves, but our families, our loved ones, the younger generations. Help us, Lord, to take that stand. Help us to be willing. Help us to have a backbone. Help us to have the courage. Help us to have the faith to know that when we take that stand, we're not taking it alone, that you're right there beside us, fighting for us. If God be for us, who can be against us? Lord, when we stay facing this fight forward and stay walking forward, no turning back, no turning back. That's what the song says, no turning back. Lord, help us to be that way. Help us to have that firm resolve, no turning back in our life. And Lord, I just ask for the prayer request for Chuck. Lord, you know the situation. I just ask, Lord, that you'll just touch him, touch the doctors and the nurses that are looking at him as he's been admitted to the hospital. And Lord, I just ask again that you just be with Wes, Lord, and be with his spiritual questions, be with the cancer in his body. Lord, we know that you're the great physician, and we know that nothing can happen that you don't allow, and we just thank you for that. And Lord, I'm thank you for the reminder that Wes may not be saved. I don't know. That's between you and him, but you gave us a story in your love letter to us, Lord, about the friends that lowered that man down through the roof of a house. So Lord, I know that my prayers and the prayers of all your followers, all your children, followers, all your children, Lord, can stand in that gap for anybody, including Wes, including Chuck. Lord, I'm thankful that you've given me Christian friends. I'm thankful that you've put us all together and knit this tribe of women together. And Mr. Michael, I know that he was sick, Lord. I don't know. I've not heard anything about him, Lord. I just ask that you have your will in his life. And Lord, I just thank you for such a strong group that love you and not afraid to stand for you and to move out in this world in a strong way. Lord, I just ask for the lost ones on our hearts. Lord, I just pray today will be a day that they can see their need of a Savior. Lord, I just ask, God, that you'll just go with us this day as we go throughout this day. I know, Lord, that many times life gets so busy, we lose focus, we lose our way sometimes, we accidentally stumble. Help us to just jump right back up and get right back in that battle, Lord. I know we all have bad days, and Lord, I know that's okay. But help us not to let those bad days turn into bad weeks and bad months and bad years. Help us, Lord, to not let things that happen keep us out of your house, because we should be going to your house, Lord, because we want to hear from you. Help us to be able to keep our eyes focused on you and not on the things. Lord, you know that I have many, many petitions before you concerning church and all that. And Lord, I just pray, Lord, that you'll just show me the way, show me what to do, and show me how to do it. And I thank you for it. And Lord, I just ask now that you'll just go with us, lead, guide, and direct. We ask all we ask in your precious name and in your will. Amen. Okay, guys, let's go get busy. Listen, last night, I don't know if y'all ever have this happen, but last night I was watching, I tell y'all I watched the singing and preaching from that church that the Lord has let me find, and I was watching a sermon last night, and I was so tired I fell asleep. And no, it may have still been on singing. I can't even remember. But anyhow, I was watching it. And Bo and Tristan come over. And instead of just coming in and saying, "Hey, Mammy," loudly so I could hear them or whatever, Bo come in because I had the TV loud, because, guys, I don't hear that well. The TV was loud. And he made some noises with his feet. And that scared me away, because when you hear feet, that scares you when you're asleep. Just kind of startles you. Maybe not scared, but a startle. And he was wanting to see if he could borrow Clifford and for them to go get something to eat and stuff. And I said, yeah. I said, where y'all going? And they didn't know where they were going to get anything to eat. He said, but I'm stopping by Dollar General because I need something. I said, well, I don't really need to drink them, but bring me a Pepsi because I'm very thirsty. So after that, I was kind of awake after talking to him and being startled. So I kind of stayed awake just waiting on my Pepsi, waiting on my something to drink because I was thirsty. Before I knew it, it was 12 o'clock. No, it was actually after 12. It was about 12:30. And he had never come. I didn't even look at the clock. The only reason I know it's about 12:30 because I know I'd seen lights turn in the drive. And I was thinking, man, I'm finna get my Pepsi. But I was still watching that sermon. Or not that sermon, another one, because I watched, I think, 2 or 3 last night. But never got my Pepsi. So I finally went out, and it's dark, but we live in the country, and we live all to ourselves. So I walked out there and seen my truck. So I walked over to my truck and thought, well, maybe he left my Pepsi in there, which he didn't. But by the time all that, me waiting for my Pepsi and all that, I was wide awake. I was washing dishes at 3 o'clock in the morning or cleaning the kitchen. And, yeah, I didn't go to sleep till very early in the morning. So this morning, the alarm woke me up, but I just couldn't, I could not. like, I could not really function. Could not function. So that's why I just quickly said it'd be at 11. So I got me 1 more hour of sleep anyway. So, but yeah, that's why it was a little late today. So anyhow. Miss Ruth, what they're going to have to go through if we don't, as Christians, stand. Take a stand. There's no telling what they'll have to go through, unfortunately. But most of the time, guys, it's not. Most of the time, the things that go bad, like the liquor license that get approved, the sale of liquor in a county that gets approved, or it's because Christians didn't take a stand. I'm telling you. It's because we were, oh, well, I'll let somebody else fight that battle. Or, oh, well, one vote wouldn't matter. One vote might not, but a bunch would. And it's also because Christians sometimes want those things. They sometimes want the liquor to be sold in their county. They want to be able to get it themselves. Guys, now, I'm not saying those are even real Christians, but that's between them and the Lord. That's between them and the Lord. A person's salvation, nobody knows but them and the Lord. Oh, I could sit on here and talk. Man, I could sit on here and talk forever. I've got so many things on my heart, but I'm not going to sit on here and talk. I'm going to get off from here and make me some tea first off. Y'all know I love some sweet tea. I probably wish I didn't, because that's probably my biggest downfall to weight is my sweet tea. But I love you guys. And Lord willing, I'll see you later. All right, bye, guys.